to support us here at Compound Media. RocketMortgage.com/compound. Is that correct? How about that? I'm joined now by two guys who aren't a couple of joking dickheads like myself. These guys are the real deal, TJ Bloch and JG DeYoung. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks for
you guys were cops during what time?
I started in 1987.
Okay. Right when crime was at its lowest ebb.
Well, funny, cocaine, crack broke out on the West Coast a couple years earlier, and by 87, my agency, we were seeing the plague reach there. So
Did not take long for it to cross the whole country, huh?
no, it did not.
Crack caught on like crack, like wildfire. It was selling like hotcakes, and crack. Not an expensive drug for one reason, right? I mean, it was like finally cocaine was available to the lower echelons of society, who made it into a huge business, right?
Well, yeah.
And you guys were tasked with stopping this unexpected epidemic.
Right.
Yeah, and so did it catch you guys off guard, or you had a couple of years, I guess, of watching what had happened on the West Coast. I mean, did you have anything in place, or?
We had nothing in place initially, but we quickly learned we needed to reach out to our resources out west.
Yeah.
And what we found out from them is it's just a never-ending battle.
Wow.
You can almost relate it to the opiate epidemic now.
Really?
Just because opiates, they became so expensive, heroin became the cheaper of the two. Mm-hmm. Just like crack became the cheapest one out there. Mm-hmm. Again, another epidemic.
And what was crack sort of like? I know when people run out of money for the opioids, which are completely legal, not in the way that people use them, but they're, it starts off being legal and then they switch to heroin. Is there any kind of was there any kind of a legal lead-in for crack? Like something it wouldn't be the ADHD drugs or anything?
No, I think with crack, people will still say pot is, an entry-level drug. I beg to differ. I don't think there was a lead-in drug, kind of like the opiates, but, they say the first time you do crack will never be the last.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I know. I have a friend who was on the crack, and it was definitely not his last one after he tried it the first time. Yep. He thought it was just some kind of cocaine that you smoke, which you could. It was freebasing cocaine, right? And there's some difference between freebasing cocaine and crack, but crack just has like a lot of extra shit in it.
Well, crack really, it's the active ingredient is cocaine. It's just you put all this other stuff in it to put into a rock corn to be smoked.
So it's sort of like cocaine loaf.
Cocaine loaf, exactly. They refer to it as cookies sometimes.
Oh, okay. And so you were on the force then from 87 until
2013. I retired after 26 years service.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you. And then where was that? It was here in New York?
No, it was down in North Carolina.
Oh, North Carolina. And were you also a policeman down in North Carolina?
I was. We were with the same agency. Jeff over here happened to be my supervisor for a number of years.
Which was a fucking nightmare.
Because he was like a shoot first, ask questions later. Oh, God damn it, another cruiser.
That's all right.
Oh, I'm getting too old for this shit, Tim.
Sarge, you're not going to believe this.
No, yeah, a lot of Sarge. You're not going to believe what just happened, this and that. But no, He got me out of a lot of jam. So
that's excellent.
Yeah.
And over the years, you obviously made a number of arrests, and you even shot somebody. I understand.
I did, and that's one of the bigger events in my career. Was my shooting, and someone happened to be chasing me with a meat cleaver. 8-inch meat cleaver. Jeff over here, he had retired by that point.
Which is comical. It always sounds comical to me when someone's being chased by a meat cleaver.
I call it the Tom and Jerry scenario.
Yeah.
That's what I call it.
Right, exactly.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, like you just stole some pies off of a windowsill or something.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Exactly right.
It's coming after you with a cleaver. What was the situation? What was the call?
I got called there because the woman was running around after her own mom and some neighbors with the meat cleaver, trying to attack several people. prior to me getting there.
And was she inebriated or stoned on crack?
She
high on
had
crack?
some mental issues.
Off her meds.
And she was off her meds, which we encountered. You can speak with your 27 years all the time.
Is that a fact?
And that was almost
Oh,
a daily encounter. I mean,
It was so frustrating because, you know, some of these people were very manageable, nonviolent. For whatever reason, so many people in those conditions don't like taking their meds.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why. But I was also involved in a shooting, but that had to do with crack cocaine.
Okay. Right. And you were responding to, or rather, you saw like a drug deal in progress or something.
Mine, I was on the SWAT team at the time as a sniper, and this guy was at his parents' home. And they called the police on us because his MO was go over there, kick in the door, steal everything they had. And he had a handgun. It was a standoff. And
He had gone in to just like a, sort of a home invasion, or
of his parents, that's what he was trying.
parents. Yeah.
Right.
Oh wow.
And then when the first responding officers get there, he's out there on the front porch with a gun, starts cranking off rounds. And then,
Well, there's nothing you can do there, and yeah, just like shoot. You have no choice but to shoot.
but you know, Pat, this is also another example of my shooting. Our entry team went up carrying the ballistic shield. The plan was one of the guys in the stack to come out with a 40 millimeter rubber ball round, trying to use less than lethal.
Right.
It was fired. It didn't take him down, and then he starts to come up with the handgun, and that's when myself and another guy opened up.
I see. Yeah. So even at that, even an armed guy out there cranking out rounds, you're still obligated and I suppose you know, to whatever degree, rightfully so, to try to take this guy with less than lethal. But I don't think does that generally work.
Sometimes.
Sometimes anything to save the life of the guy.
Right. I mean, law enforcement across the nation, technology has improved in the last 15, 20 years to where there are less than lethal. The taser, for example. It's interesting, that video you showed of the
Little Rock.
Little Rock, they were actually drive stunning them.
I saw that. Yeah.
And, but I mean,
for people who don't know what a drive stun is, tasers have two wires that come out of them and they hook into you. A drive stun is without using the wires. Basically, it's like a taser that you used to see 20 years ago where you just touch somebody on the neck with it. That's what they were trying to do. And
Actually making contact with its leg, I think.
that's right.
Yeah,
Making
as
contact
he
with his ankle. Yeah.
squirmed around and tried to find his gun. What it goes through a guy's head to make him think that he's going to successfully pull up this gun and shoot his way out of trouble?
well, also in that video, you hear him say, he's 17 years old, I can't go back to jail. I mean, some of these guys, you know, they're not gladiators and they don't want to go back to jail. And that's a very motivating, you know, thing for some people. But
Motivates him at the incorrect time, doesn't it?
correctly, you're very correct on that. But again, this situation, just like most police shootings, all but other than rare occasion, it went this way fatally because that's how the suspect drove it.
Yes, at the insistence of the suspect. Even with Eric Garner, who insisted on being taken down, you know, violently after a more than 10-minute standoff. Plenty of chances to get off any floor you want to get off. You know, we don't have to go all the way down with this.
Every chance given.
Yeah, and so in your situation, you Tim showed up the guy, or it's female rather, with a cleaver.
It was actually a female. Yep.
And she is chasing family members around, and then decided to chase you around a little, I guess.
Yeah. When I did get there, I spoke to a neighbor, and the neighbor said, she's around the corner, she's around the corner. So I had the neighbor point out to me the area generally in which she was in. I walked around the corner, and I saw a woman with the look on her face that I had never seen before, like she had seen the devil. I'll never forget the look on this woman's face. And I remember yelling,
Is it similar to this look that Bobo has right now? Is it?
You put the hat back on, you got it.
It's cold and evil, just staring into the face of evil.
It is. But
That's terrifying.
it was terrifying, and I remember yelling, "Is this her? Is this her?" I didn't know if that was the shooter. I didn't know if this was someone who was being chased until about 5 seconds later. Another woman came around the corner of a building. I was almost in between two buildings. And then I saw a woman with an 8-inch meat cleaver in her hand.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I want to point out something. And his video was captured on the body cam.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube now. In law enforcement, an edged weapon, you're taught 21 feet. That's the closest you're going to let anyone get to you with an edged weapon. The reason being, especially under stress, you're going to be lucky to hit. We aim to shoot center mass till we eliminate the threat, not to kill, eliminate the threat.
Yeah.
Under stress, it's not the easiest thing to do. Tim shooting.
And may I point out, just like even in the best of conditions, not a particularly easy thing to do.
No, exactly. Exactly.
21 feet. Most of us would miss.
Yes.
He waited till she was about 10 feet away.
Waited too long. When I look back at the video, hopefully we can show it. I don't
I'd love
mind.
to see it.
Yeah.
Can we? Is there a video of?
That's it. That's it right there.
Well, I'll be okay. So, is this the beginning of the video we're looking at here now?
You're kind of looking towards the middle. I think I fired or I'm about to fire some shots right now.
Okay. Yeah, and 10 feet max.
Yeah.
Okay, let's watch.
It's like stills. I don't know. Is there an actual video?
There is. If you guys do use YouTube and just type in TJ Bloch shooting,
Okay.
it should come up, and there's quite a few of them.
Okay,
one of
cool.
them has almost 1 million views.
Wow.
Yeah.
That means it's an entertaining shooting.
It is an entertaining shooting at that.
I mean,
to say
not
the
that
least.
there's too many that aren't, but
Yes.
and we sort of like joke around about
you got to.
reveling and all this stuff, but like there's so many times when what happens, people the opposite of it, like these videos go viral claiming to be something they're not. But down in Louisiana, that was referenced as we started to look at the Little Rock video. That guy was just guilty as sin, reaching for his gun down there. And
That's right. Pat, you brought up something really important, and I'm sure Jeff will agree. Comedy is what gets at least someone like me and Jeff through something like this.
Yeah.
I mean, the jokes. I'll tell you right now. I'll be honest. The jokes were flying right after my shooting happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to tell you them, but I don't want a target on my back again. But that's how we get through these type of incidents. We joke with each other.
Deflect with humor.
Yep.
It's nice to know we perform such a valuable
Yeah, that's right.
service here.
Yes.
Can we? Do we have this very popular shooting? The book is Policing in Black and White. How do we find this book, guys?
Best way is just to go on Amazon. Available on Amazon, Amazon Prime. Just type in "policing in black and white" in the search bar, and you got it.
Okay.
It's $16.99. A lot of the proceeds do go to some charities. So we are not in it for the money. We are in it to raise awareness. And basically, the quote that we keep saying and keeps coming back from people is there is chapters about our shooting. Absolutely, it does take you through it. But the main thing is to bring police and society closer together.
Yeah.
That's what it really focuses on.
Wouldn't that be nice? And it's time. If we try something besides the De Blasio method of taking all of the tools away from police in order to do their job, and tell them, "Oh, God, be nicer guys," and all that bullshit. It's like, how about a little respect from the community and a little respect from cops? And I think that we're already kind of at peak respect for everybody in the community. It would seem, I mean, like here in New York City, they want them handing out cards, basically directing them to the CCRB, in order to. It's just nuts, and there's the amount of money that they're spending on these kind of initiatives. It's just pissed away, wasted. $6 million in order to buy these cards, that identify the police officer and tell them like, you don't have to participate in this and all this kind of shit. It's like, it just seems, why are local governments so often so against the police. I mean, for lack of a better way to say it.
Oh, here's the video.
Look at that, running after the cops with the.
And
So just to give you,
So you got the sideways.
I do. I went ghetto right there.
You went all Pulp Fiction
Did you
on her.
see? Yeah, that's right.
Well, she's horizontal, so you're also turning the gun to sort
yeah.
of as she falls, like the gun. Also
Exactly
goes
right.
horizontal.
Exactly right. But
I see that you're in like this is obviously a very nice part of town. You don't expect this sort of thing.
absolutely not.
Oh my God! Look
The,
at that. Now, was this shooting questioned? Was this shooting looked into as potentially
Here's
not proper?
Here's the interesting part. Mine was the first in the state and one of the third or fourth in the country to be caught on a police body-worn camera.
Oh, okay. So it was scrutinized very closely.
Very close. Nobody knew who owned the video at the time. The state said they owned it. My department said they owned it. The FBI said they owned it. Nobody knew, and you think this stuff would have been solved before.
Ginsu said they owned it.
Ginsu said they owned it. Microsoft, who owns it? Yeah. It didn't. The video wasn't actually released until 2 years later. So I had finally gotten over the shooting. Then they decided to release it 2 years later and put me through it all over again in the media.
My goodness.
And we live in a world, and this is where people get very, very frustrated, I think, and I want people to keep this in mind. When an incident like this does happen, we live in a generation where we want information instantly. We want it now.
Sure.
And they expect that with police work as well. And there's reasons why we don't release a video right away. And that would certainly ruin the investigation. So when an agency waits a week or two to release a video, they're not hiding something. It's not that they don't want you to see it. It's that they don't want to compromise the investigation.
well, it's evidence,
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah.
and you got to treat it accordingly.
Now, because you could potentially fuck up the jury pool.
Absolutely.
And then not only that, but, these days, it seems as if releasing the video makes more sense in some of these instances because, all the misinformation is flying around. And you want to, I guess, to some degree, squelch that.
That's why the chief of police in Little Rock released that video so quickly. The community was up in arms. He's like, okay, take a look at this. How can you possibly say they were not justified?
Sure, yeah. Don't march on us, check this out. And it was the same situation when they shot a guy.
There's literally one thing I can ask.
One moment, Bobo, one moment, if you don't mind. When there was a guy who was saying he was going to kill himself, and he ended up having he had like a fake gun in his hand, but he wouldn't make a move. He wouldn't. Finally, he goes to level this fake gun at them, and, it's a fully justified shooting. They will watch that video in any number of ways to try and come back with a different conclusion. But, having those body cams on the whole, it seems as if it's been a very vindicating factor for the police.
It has its pros and cons. In my case, I loved it. But I'll tell you, on the other side of it is, let's say you stop somebody for speeding, and this is just one example that people may not like in society that they didn't think about. You stop somebody for speeding, you're probably going to get a ticket nowadays.
Yeah.
Honor the days of discretion, because your supervisor is now going to watch that video and say, hey, why didn't you give him a ticket? So there is another side of it that society may not like.
Yeah, you can't cut anybody a break, and
Right.
and I don't think I would feel the slightest bit bad about that if I was a police officer forced to wear his body cam, and that is a potentially life-threatening situation anytime you pull somebody over, if I'm correct in that.
Yes.
Yeah, what were you going to ask, Bobo? I'm sorry.
Well, I've heard some people joke. They said that certain crimes are a product of the area. Is it safe to say that you could say that certain areas that certain crimes would be likely to happen in that area?
To answer your question, Bobo, my sergeant, who taught me a lot, Jeff here, probably has the perfect phrase to answer your question, and it's a phrase you and I have talked about many times. The product of you're a product of what you say it. You say it best.
Economics, where you live can greatly dictate the crime flow and the types of crimes. When I first started, I spent 17 years in the project areas of our city. and but you know what? I want to say this quickly. People in these low-income areas, most of them love cops.
Yeah.
They know we're the last line, and it's just that small element that wants to feed off society and sling dope and spread cancer on the streets. But most of those people in those areas, at least where I was at, they loved cops.
Yeah, the more cops they see, the less crime they see.
But the unfortunate thing is now, proactive policing is dying every day. Cops are not going out and looking for violations of law
Right.
because they don't want to get a complaint and possibly be fired. In our book, there's an officer in there who wrote a small part in there. That's what happened to him.
Yeah.
He arrested this guy that was a repeat offender trying to break into his mother's house. The mother told the neighbors, if you see my son around, call. He's trying to break in.
Right.
He had to use force. He used a few choice words. They let him go.
In the book is actually it has a link to the video of that incident.
Yeah.
And the guy's actually in jail now for I believe attempted homicide maybe or aggravated assault. One of them. He's in for 7 or 8 years now. And my buddy who Jeff just talked about, actually the department didn't back him up and he got fired.
Yeah, it's a damn shame to see a cop lose his job over some bullshit. You know, let's take a caller here. How about Kevin in California? Are you coming with comment for our question for our officers, or did you have a story?
Well, a little bit of both. First, I want to say to TJ and JG, I mean, I love the cops. That's great work, and I can't help but shout out to Ralph Friedman as well. His book was great. I read it. But a little bit of comment as well. I'm a few days out of brain surgery here. And
congratulations. Was it successful?
Well, no, I'm a few days out of brain surgery. It's a few days ahead.
Oh, I see. Okay. Wow. Well, then we wish you the best on that.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, and I can only help but to come out as sharp as Bobo, you know, your co-host here. and as far as
You almost got that. Thanks.
Yeah. And as far as the Maltese you keep discussing here, I mean, it's the right dog to fuck. I mean, it's got to make your dick feel big.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Especially when you see those
whatever
blood
dog
stains on that white fur, you know, you go, hey, that's all me.
I mean, yeah, and you know, just call in and have a little fun. Great show, guys.
All right, thanks, man. Much appreciated.
Love the cops. Have a good night.
Hey, have a good one. Good luck on your surgery. We'll be thinking and praying for you.
Oh yeah.
All the best, you know.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that guy's an atheist. You can tell by the way he responded. Then he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, prayer. Okay, yeah, thanks a shitload."
See him laughing.
We do appreciate the call. Thanks, Kevin, and good luck on the surgery. How about in Denver? Is it Mika? Mike?
It's Mike.
Mike, sorry, I'm looking across the way here, and the E's and the A's look very similar. How you doing, Mike?
Great. Actually, I really wasn't paying attention to most of the show. I was finally able to like catch it. I'm never able to catch it live. Just want to call in and say, keep doing what you're doing. I think you're the funniest guy out there right now, and this is the funniest show out there.
Fucking
So
A.
please,
That's
so
good.
when you keep saying like, is anyone watching? Yes, I am. Keep going. I fucking love it.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it, Mike. Much appreciated. All right. Yeah, we'll keep doing it so long as they keep letting us. And, yeah, I'm glad it's good to know people are watching over there in Denver. All the best. And call anytime
good.
and say that shit. Thanks. I appreciate that. How about that? Well, I'm tickled pink. I am tickled pink with that call. And I'm tickled pink to have on TJ here and Jeff DeYoung. Any kin to Dennis DeYoung of Styx?
Supposedly never met the dude, but yeah.
Really? How are you related to him?
My grandmother said we were related. I didn't really listen to much after that. You know,
Yeah.
at that time I was too stoned.
Yeah.
Back in teenage years. So.
Itching.
Oh, I used to have a Carlos Santana afro.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. How about that? I just took a stab in the dark. I don't know how many DeYoungs there are out there. Dennis DeYoung thinks he sings better than Sinatra, from what I understand.
He might be blood, but he's going a little too far with that one. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's quite a claim. Well, why don't we look at this story quick here in the Bronx, because we have a DA. This is a great example of what's kind of going on these days. Prosecutors are investigating whether cops in a Bronx precinct that has been praised for its surge in gun arrests broke the law to make some of those busts, according to the Daily News. The months-long probe by the Bronx DA's office led to some gun cases being shot to bits, as it says. The cops should be indicted for perjury and official misconduct. Some cops should be, it says. That's police sources that say that. Odd. NYPD may transfer others or bring them up on departmental charges. Here's a quote from a DA spokeswoman, Patrice O'Shaughnessy. Our Public Integrity Bureau is investigating the allegations. Now, the investigation focuses on the tactics cop used to recover guns. It's already had an impact on several criminal cases. Prosecutors dismissing charges against defendants or offering sweetheart plea deals. All of a sudden, we were seeing heavy cases, felony cases. Right away, the DA's office is offering pleas to misdemeanors. They're really working overtime to try and bring these cases down and plead them out at these lower levels. Now, is that part of the reason why we're seeing the drop in crime that we're seeing? Because they're just pleading these like index crimes down to misdemeanors?
That's something that you've seen increase over time.
Right. Yeah. I kind of figured every big city police department does a little of that, but
Well, you have to. There's no room. You know, the numbers are too great.
right. Now you have the DAs sort of like doing as much as they can. It seems as if to lower these. Is it to lower the numbers, or is there something else at play here?
Well, unfortunately, when you're talking about crime stats, a lot of people are affected by that, so there can be influenced by entities not in law enforcement that want to reflect, hey, we live in a safer place.
I mean, like the mayor's office.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But we certainly have that with our current mayor, I think. What's your local? Now you guys are still in North Carolina.
Right, we're still in the same city we policed in.
And I bet you during the time you guys were policing, you had a little bit more cooperation and backup coming from local government, at least a little more, right?
I didn't see a decrease until somewhere around 2000, or maybe a little later. But again, I didn't see the outright hatred for cops. Yeah, we had gangbangers that didn't like us, but
expect
we
that.
were talking earlier. If you're slinging dope, that's your profession. I don't take it personally. But now we're seeing the violence increase, shootings and everything else. So it's just society seems to be going downhill further every day.
Somebody's slinging dope, he's like, I don't care how a man makes his living or whatever, so long as your concerns don't.
Well, I'll make the arrest.
Your interests don't come against his.
Right. I'll make the arrest on the corner drug dealer like it used to, provided he didn't resist and try to whip my ass. It wasn't anything personal.
Yeah.
And I actually built rapport with some of these dealers. They got where if they saw me, they'd either drop it and hope I didn't see it or whatever. They didn't give me problems.
Yeah, sort of respecting the office there.
Yeah. And that's the thing in the past.
And there are such things as victimless crimes, as we call them.
Right.
And
Rape.
yeah, right. only if you finish. I'm sorry, I had to.
Yeah. I mean,
No, but there are things that call victimless crimes, and Jeff, I'm sure you can agree with this as well. How many houses or apartments we walked into where we did see heroin on the ground, or we did see some weed there, or worse, and we wouldn't make an arrest.
Not every
the
time.
guy's doing it in his own house. He's not hurting anybody.
sure. That's not what you're there. That's not what you're after.
No, and time is taken away. That's 4 hours taken away from a patrol officer that can be
not more.
spent, if not more.
So
Spent much,
there's a practical aspect to that too.
Yeah, and you
Law
have
enforcement. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to play that game.
Yeah, so that's a lot of this is done on the street level, of like, you have that one less bust, but you have, possibly something much more important taken care of. It's just remarkable to me that these I guess these perpetrators, whoever has a gun, who's going for it, surrounded by, this crossfire of, armed, trained officers, and they seem to think they're going to be able to shoot their way out of it or something. I mean, I understand they don't want to go back to jail, maybe, but do you think that the media has, like, through all this, promoting of Black Lives Matter and really Black Lives Matter themselves, do you think that they've become emboldened by all that, to think that, like, maybe they have a chance?
All lives matter.
Yeah.
I mean, and if you say that, it can be taken the wrong way.
It's true.
And I'm not racist.
Mm-hmm. Shouldn't even have to say that. In fact, you don't have to say that here.
Well,
safe space.
But
None of us are racist.
but my point is.
No? Okay.
My point is, we're in a society now where race is becoming, or has been, front burner for too long.
And the driving force behind that is the media. I mean, there's no question about that.
Yeah.
And I'll give it a perfect example. Again, I'll use my own. In my own shooting, it was put out, one reporter, and this is not a joke, and you can Google it and find it online still, that the family obviously, before the video was released, maybe thought they can get some money out of me or the department if the shooting was unjustified. And the sister said, no, we were playing a game of tag, but we used knives. And I know how ridiculous that sounds, but that is the honest-to-God truth, and that was printed in the newspaper, and a whole entire article was done on how they were playing tag, but just using knives.
And how you interfered with their game of tag.
How dare
knives.
I? How dare I? As she's coming towards me yelling, I'm going to stab your pig guts out. I guess that's a normal part of tag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
It's like Marco Polo, sort of, in the pool.
I don't remember a tag using real knives.
No, I mean, like coming at you with a knife.
I just remember a tag usually someone holding their hand out.
You should see how they play flag football, Bobo, in the hood. It's a different matter altogether. When you say police, the title of the book is Policing in Black and White, and you can get that at Amazon, and a portion of that is donated to, I would assume, police-friendly charities. And, Policing in Black and White, is that a reference to race?
No, to me, the reason we both agreed on the title. For me, I think it's when you blend black and white together, turns gray.
Right.
Meaning clarity.
Right.
And that's what this book we're hoping to do, is bring some clarity. I mean, hell, I'm tired of watching officers have to shoot and kill, like 17-year-old in Little Rock.
Yeah.
I mean, that's tragic. And those officers are going to have to live with that the rest of their lives, and it forever changes you.
It's not something you revel in, although we may, based on the current flow of the way everything is in society right now. We sort of jump on that and enjoy it, but you guys don't enjoy that. You guys don't want to have to do that, and you think that with some clarity out there, maybe this kind of thing won't happen as often.
Well, I'll let Tim talk about something we're working on too.
Yeah, I think both sides really do need to get together. I know it sounds simple and cliche, but another part of this is getting into the schools, getting into the curriculum and teaching teens at an early age of how to interact with police, how to talk to an officer, how to act while during a car stop, or how to witness, how to report a crime, how to play the best witness. The first thing that a lot of people do when we used to pull them over is reach for the glove box. And that's the worst thing you could do.
Absolutely.
They're just trying to get their registration. And most of the time we know that. But it could be that one time that they're reaching for the gun. And by the time you see the gun, it's too late. So we think through education, and we have been working with certain states, we think through some education that we can alleviate some of these use of forces and keep some of these teenagers alive that shouldn't be dead.
That's a great idea. It's the talk coming from the appropriate source. They talk about Mayor de Blasio made a big show of the talk that he gave to his son Dante, and that he had to, explain to him that you have to use a little extra respect when dealing with the cops. And of course, his narrative was, that based on your color, you're more likely to be shot, and on and on. I don't. particularly that's kind of silly with Dante de Blasio, you know, I mean, the famous fro that won the election, but even more importantly, there's some truth to that. We should all show a lot of respect for the police. It shouldn't be a race-specific thing. You know, anybody who reaches for anything, you know, during a traffic stop, you know, is you know, taking their life in their hands. And so, like, I couldn't agree more. Getting into the schools and giving that talk ahead of time, it might save some of these African-American parents the trouble of having to, you know, give the talk,
Wrong talk.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the one that says that, like, oh, yeah, based on the color of your skin, you're more likely to be shot.
Exactly.
I haven't seen such a big surge in that. I know that an officer and this is in Heather McDonald's book, The War on Cops, an officer is more likely to be shot by an African-American male than the other way around. Then the cops are likely to shoot an African-American male.
That's correct.
That's a statistic. And when you start talking about black and white and looking at the facts, then you realize, wow, this is this huge story about you guys are out there hunting hunting the blacks. It falls apart pretty quick.
We do talk about that. There's a huge difference between racially profiling and criminally profiling.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, right now, a lot of government housing, the residents are black.
Mm-hmm.
And, where's a beekeeper going to go for honey?
Right.
Well,
Go to the beehive.
And one other thing, too, is Tim shot an Asian female. I shot a white male. There were we didn't shoot anybody, no black males. We didn't shoot them. You know, I mean, and
Good job anyway, though. You know what I mean? I just say I'm sure you tried. It's me joking.
another thing the book
Don't let
talks
that
about.
impact.
Another thing we acknowledge too is there are some bad cops out there.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, yeah, of course. I'm sure there
Any
are.
walk.
I'm sure there's bad people doing. The worst bad cop though is still better than the best criminal, in my opinion.
I'm right.
At least you're playing for the right team.
That's right.
And law enforcement is so important now, and the people that are still towing the line and doing the things they're supposed to be doing, God, you just got to take your hats off to them and go, I don't know how you guys do it.
Oh, we appreciate that, and people got to remember where officers are humans, and the important thing is when you're looking at an officer, intent. The officer may have screwed up and did it completely wrong, but was his heart in the right place, and was his intent to de-escalate the situation? And that officer may do a shitty, awful, shitty, fuck up the job, but was he trying to do the right thing?
Yeah, I mean that you have to look at that. You have to. I mean, we certainly look at intent in terms of criminals, So let's look at intent in terms of the police as well. Also, I mean, like it would be ridiculous to go around like, oh, we're going to shoot people of a certain nationality, a certain color, a certain race, and I'm going to give up my entire career for that, and I'm going to give up my pension. I'm going to be widely vilified, by society as a whole. It's just not a good play. It would be. It's not something that any reasonable person would do, and it just. I'm sure that you guys clarified a lot in policing in black and white, and thanks for coming on to talk about it. Absolutely. I appreciate it. I'm going to link this on crimereport.nyc as well, so you guys could pick it up there. If you're watching live right now, don't wait for that to happen, though. Go right to Amazon and pick it up. You guys were interviewed for the New York Times, then, for a Daily News and a couple of stories?
Yep. The New York Times is interested. The Daily News is interested.
The New York Times is pretty snaky, by the way.
We have to be very...
Snaky.
I'll be very quick with this. Since day one, we've had press all over us wanting to know about this book, and we were very, very, very careful who we chose to talk to. Pat, give yourself a hand.
The list. The SBA pen says it all.
That's right. That's right.
We picked a good guy to let handle that interview.
We know that, and Nick DiPaolo's another one. We love Nick.
Did you talk to Nick?
Not yet, but we plan on it because we love the way he supports police.
Oh yeah, he's
in his own way, but
great.
Just real quick. We're very careful who we talk to. We turn down many interviews where we could have made a lot of money with certain publishers. We were offered some money, but we refused to go down that road.
We had a jackass agent that had all the connections in the world,
Throwing a lot of money at us.
but he wanted to turn this book into his own little,
Agenda, yeah.
Oh boy, some jackass agent. Hey, well, you bump up against those jackass agents from time to time. So Jaman, that's our final story here, and of course, Policing in Black and White. Get that at Amazon.com. If you're watching this after the 16th, 17th, then go to crimereport.nyc. I will link to that book. Now, on the Upper East Side, a former New York governor, you know who I'm talking about, Eliot Spitzer, reportedly lost his temper at a restaurant, threatened to stab another diner in the genitals. Spitzer made the threat while dining at Ivor Madison Estiorio. It's someplace that I eat there all the time. It's very fancy. I can barely pronounce it, but I'm constantly eating there. Upper East Sider Jamie Antolini. Jamie Antolini. Isn't that the name of... who was Antolini?
And the Godfather,
That's
maybe.
the Godfather's name, right?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Vito Antolini.
I think you're right.
From he was from Corleone.
Yeah, from Corleone.
Vito Corleone. Okay, and that's why you get his name changed right there. This is Vito Antolini. How about that, Big A? Are you still awake over there? Oh yeah, it's short for Antolini.
Must be Mexican.
Yeah, that's mentioning. He mentioned Spitzer's rival. That's the Home Depot founder, Ken Langone. Spitzer was entering the restaurant, and he overheard a guy say that the guy is a great guy, this Home Depot founder, Langone, and should be president, and he flew off the rails. I'll get a fucking knife and stab you right in your fucking cock. Spitzer yelled at the man, according to the Post. His spokesperson told the Post that the former governor was at the restaurant celebrating his mother's 90th birthday. Now, when you're celebrating your mother's 90th birthday, it's just not complete unless you threaten to stab a guy in the cock. They make it memorable. This woman's got only a few more birthdays to go, so make sure you threaten to stab somebody right in the cock. I suppose that's a crime, isn't it, to threaten to stab somebody in the cock?
On someone's birthday now.
No.
Mom's birthday now.
On a mom's birthday.
Nope. That's a given.
Someone starts some shit with you, you get a free one. Especially if you're the former governor. He was elected governor back in 2006. He had 2 terms as the attorney general, and he was taken down by a prostitution scandal just 2 years into his first term. Oh boy, do we ever remember that? Yep.
Boy, do we.
Doesn't remember that, client number 9.
If you don't remember that, give us a call next week. We'll talk about that. In the meantime, keep in mind, if you go around with your Time's Up badge, maybe time's up for you. How about that? Make sure you stay. Keep your present clean and your past cleaner, and then maybe your future will be a bright one. Hey Bobo, thanks for being here. I appreciate it, and thanks for being here, especially on the such an important day for your people, MLK Day.
Well, technically, according to all these DNA people that they say the first human was in Africa, I think we're kind of all black.
Yeah, exactly.
According to these DNA people that are like experts in.
This is your last appearance on the show.
That is very deep, Bobo. Very deep.
Never come back. I'm joking. They are fully Homo sapien. I do know that. And thanks for being here to the audience, studio audience, Big A. We have a big audience and one Big A. And thanks for the photos that you took over at that Creepy Corner show. We'll be sure and throw a few of those up in the near future. Creepy Corner is over on YouTube. You can watch that. YouTube, really the only competition for this network is us and YouTube. And, YouTube's free, but they got a lot of trash. Everything on this network rocks. Everything.
YouTube's got Logan Paul.
Well,
Got filmed in the suicide
Oh,
forest.
yeah,
that fucking
that is
asshole.
true.
What a dickhead. Yeah, can you believe that shit?
Remember that? I thought
Logan
that was
Paul,
awesome.
who's that?
Yeah, he's like, some cool YouTuber guy.
It's got cool hair.
Yeah, fuck him and his cool hair. You know whose hair I think is cool? President Donald J. Trump, who, if you're interested in hearing more about Trump, where do we find that on the website here?
Compound.com/highlights.
Yeah.
Compoundmedia.com?
Yeah.
Compoundmedia.com/highlights.
Highlights.
New episode of Trump will be up in the next day or two. We got a holiday lag has been kind of hurting us a little bit. We're getting a little slow coughing up some of these podcasts, but it will be there. What are the chances that'll actually become a show? Seem pretty remote.
Not up to us.
No, not up to you guys.
If it was, it'd be a show.
It'd be a show right now. I mean, it's a show in that it's an audio show, but I mean, people are like, hey, why can't we watch it? Well, here's what you don't do. Don't write anybody at the network about that. That's not a good move for us, and it's not a good move for you. Ain't gonna help you, and ain't gonna help us neither. So just hope in one hand and shit in the other. See which one fills up first. And as my mom used to say, God rest her soul, died 2 years ago today.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yes, and she's already dead. But thoughts and prayers for.
So are you allowed to threaten to stab someone in the cock then?
Awesome.
Or is that?
It's her birthday.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
What? No, it's the day she got killed. I killed my wife was my mom and wife.
Oh, now your
person
wife, too.
murdered.
Oh, jeez.
It's a whole big thing. You have to get unwifeable to find out the full story. You can get that in April. And thanks one more time to guest Tim, Jeff. You guys are the best, man. And thanks for having fun with us doing our stupid little comedy show.
Pat,
While you
thanks
guys
for
are
having
trying
us,
to
man. We love
sell
it
your
all, man.
sell your important book, Policing in Black and White. Which I hope. Do I get to keep one of these?
You know what? We may even sign it for you.
Well, that would be the absolute. Sign it with my Ron White pen.
Woo!
Here.
Whoa!
Wrote on a pile of them. Ron White pen. It's very heavy.
It's a big deal. It's you've got a great pen if it's heavy.
Yeah, that's right. That's
for a lot of things.
Right, Bobo. Ron White's got that way of talking. And we had no voices call in tonight, did we? We had no. What
Alex.
The Shriners kid, Alex.
Oh no, that was a real kid.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
I thought you just meant like a human voice over the phone.
Oh right,
My bad.
exactly. We did have a couple of callers, and yes, all the best to Mike and to Mike. Mike is the brain surgery one, right? In Colorado and Denver, and we are wishing
He
you the
won't
best.
remember.
I don't know how. Yeah. He will. He will so remember. He'll be back and better than ever. Thank you for watching.
And also remember how painful it is when you come back when you wake up from surgery.
That's
Don't
nice.
say anything discouraging, Bobo. My
but
God.
I'm just saying from experience.
You with your injured mother of all people should know about this.
I've seen people and I've seen myself out of a surgery. Sometimes you wake up and you feel pain.
You've had a surgery?
I've had surgeries and I felt pain. All right, I don't want to go into detail.
What sort of surgeries?
Not brain
Urinary
surgery.
system.
Oh my God. That's so shocking.
That
Where did it hurt? In your urinary system?
just brought everything to a.
She's shutting down now. Someone pulled the pin on Bobo and he's shut down. Nothing else. Bobo, you have many fans out there, many detractors as well, but many fans, and we'll just see what there's more of eventually.
Well, I think there's more supporters, and I think the people that are detractors are just upset they're not me.
Whoa, they want to be you. Okay, well, that's a gauntlet you've thrown down. I'd hate to be you right now. Target on you. Target painted on your fucking chest. Bobo, handsome Dan Kurlan,
Rather be in a
changing the world one bob at a time. And also, Bobo, I want you to know, we know you didn't steal any money from that fucking GoFundMe.
Yep, exactly.
We know you're innocent. Those allegations are nonsense. Look
think-
at the way you dress, for Christ's sake. Why would you dress that way if you had any money?
I think you did a great job, Bobo, defending yourself.
Exactly. My mom recently had to pay for some medical situation. She had said that money helped a little bit. She had said how much more it would have cost.
Yeah, it costs that much more. And so we want to say thanks to Bobo appearing courtesy of the Jim and Sam show. Thanks for making time to come over and appear on our little show. And you're a regular on there, right?
Well, I'm
Jim and Sam?
a regular on you guys, but
Oh, I see.
Ooh, the
I've-
war,
I've-
the
I've-
war
I've
continues.
I've made guest spots on Jim and Sam.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, make sure you give us a
Make
shout
sure
out.
to remember you guys.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
I'll make sure that they know next time they hear.
By you
they
guys,
see
you mean
on a-
me, motherfucker.
By me. I mean everybody at
Get
Crime
me on a
Report.
show.
I mean
See if
everybody.
I'm not talking about Bobo in this show.
I'm gonna make. There's a number of people behind Crime Report,
Enough.
but mainly, especially
Stop.
you.
Enough, I said. Thanks, Garrett and John. And I know you guys want to get the fuck out of here. Show's been over for a while. Nobody's watching anymore. Thanks to everybody who follows on Twitter, at Pat Dixon. And thanks, Anthony Cumia, for letting us do this show.
I'm at WKRP in Cincinnati.
I kind of think all of reality, this is all of reality. Everything else outside of the podcast is just kind of like some kind of dream within a dream.
From the smallest room in New York City,
This is the portal to like the causal realm.
becomes a show that gives you a reason to live.
Listen up.
The ball dropped early for victims of a teenage killer on the spectrum. The New Jersey teen blasted both his parents, his sister, and a family friend just 20 minutes before the new year, killing them all deader than hell. 16-year-old Scott Kalogi faces 4 charges of first-degree murder in the close-range killings. He's been charged as a juvenile, but Monmouth County prosecutors tend to try him as an adult. It's a crime shame, this kid killing his whole family on New Year's Eve. Not because it's a big holiday, but because it's literally the last day of 2017, December 31st. He's finally squeezing in all his 2016 resolutions.
He really probably threw off the Monmouth County homicide rate.
Probably, yeah. Right at the end of the year.
Right. Like they were all celebrating. They're like, we can't. Okay, guys, we did a good job.
New record.
We got homicides down.
And,
Oh, fuck.
is there any way we could
Can we
fudge the time
right?
on this? But, by the way, the speculation on my part that was resolutions, but authorities, they haven't released a motive in the killings. The dead include his 44-year-old father, 42-year-old mother, sister Brittany, who was 18, and a woman, Mary Schulz, who is described by the New York Post as a family friend, but who is described by the New York Daily News as Scott Kalogi's grandfather's partner. Now, why would that be important? Well, I think that grandfather's partner is a fraught relationship. It's the one between a teenage boy and his grandfather's partner.
Sure.
Because he's like, hey,
Where's my grandma?
yeah, it's upsetting. And what's her role,
She probably like was egging him on a lot.
I mean, how many times we heard that you're not my real grandma before running off and slamming a door?
Yeah.
I mean, and is it up to this woman who isn't actually a blood relative to fulfill all the customary duties of a grandmother?
Right.
Because she's getting down with grandpa, apparently. Does it fall on her to send birthday cards with laughably small amounts of money? I mean, with grandma out of the picture, does it fall to this woman to not understand video games and be appalled by almost everything her grandkids do and say?
Right.
Kids need family structure. I mean, time and again, we've seen statistics that show that more crimes are committed by individuals who are products of a broken family structure, raised in single-parent households.
Right.
It seems logical to conclude with kids with special needs who are autistic or gay, they need family structure all the more. So these days, to be on the safe side, kids need a 2-parent, 4-grandparent upbringing.
Yeah.
But he didn't get that.
Right.
And he killed his whole fucking family with an AK-47 that belonged to one of the people who escaped because he didn't kill the whole family. One of his brothers got away, as did his grandpa.
Oh, grandpa, get out.
He managed to make it out alive, and also the shooter is alive. So that's some autistic privilege. Perhaps. I mean,
that's a really interesting point about coming from a 4-grandparent home.
Mm-hmm.
And,
you need someone to be just slightly more racist than your parents.
Yeah.
That's what grandparents do. That's their job. And